Hello everyone, welcome to topic 6 in this course of artificial intelligence concepts, challenges and opportunities. We are here in theme 2, which is related to to introduce some fundamentals in AI and machine learning. This topic will be related to digitalization and machine learning. Actually, for the machine learning, we will have also the next topic, topic 7. It will be mainly to go through more details about machine learning algorithms and different kinds of machine learning concepts. But here we will just introduce a general concepts about what is data, information, digitalization, AI, the relation between AI and machine learning, and so on. So let us start. So this is the lecture or the topic outline: data and information, data-driven modeling and rules of machine learning, digitalization process, what is machine learning and artificial intelligence, and some applications of machine learning. Okay, now if we think about the world around us, so we have the capability to understand it, and how we, or at least to some extent, of course, not everything, but we can somehow understand and model the system. So we are able to predict. So when we, if we want to predict, for example, the current when certain voltage applied to some resistance or some resistor, then of course we have Ohm's law. So based on the mathematical model that we built about this resistance and current and voltage, we can predict what will be the current, or what is the voltage if we know the current and the resistance, and what is the resistance if we have the voltage and current. So all these things are just a mathematical model about certain physical behavior. So what that mean? It is actually the same if we applied it in about weather prediction, if we apply it in quantum mechanics, that even we don't have like this the descriptive or analytical mathematical model directly, but at least we have some statistical models about the quantum mechanics that they are applied, and we can like estimate or with high accuracy or what is the probability and so on. So the idea here is it means that the universe, it has some logic. What we mean by logic is a set of rules that control or describe any physical action or behavior around us. As I mentioned now, even natural randomness, like in quantum mechanics, or some chaos effects, which is not random in the general sense, but because we cannot predict the dynamics due to very sensitivity or high sensitivity to the initial conditions and so on, but still they have some logic, and this logic can be seen in their trends. So there are some trends or statistical behavior for that. So in general, we can say that there is a deep intelligent sense everywhere and in everything. So we are not living in a random world, or random in the sense that blind random world. Otherwise, we will not be able to predict anything. Okay. So actually, most of our understanding of the world is based on data collected by our natural senses. For example, what we see with eyes, or what we hear, touching, and so on. Moreover, we have deeper understanding about the world by using our vision. Actually, vision is deeper than seeing or watching. because vision, we can use our like imagination, we using our thinking and imagination and visualization about things. For example, we didn't see quarks or electrons or photons, but still we can predict their existence, and also we can build some models for them even without seeing them directly. So this is like vision. So we have a vision about this. Also for black holes, for example, it was predicted even before we saw them with these new technologies. So it is like some kind of abductive reasoning. So our understanding of nature actually is based on modeling or conceptualization. So we have a model. So we build a model. The model is our approach to understand world. So everything or every action, every physical behavior that we start to model it by using, for example, simpler theorems in physics, and then once we build a model, then we can validate this model by comparing the predicted result of the model with, and compare it with the actual result, and then or the real result, and based on the difference, then we can also improve our model. And actually every model, it will work within certain bandwidth. So every model, there is no 100% correct model or 100% accurate model at all. So actually we mentioned this in the previous parts. So even when we talk about the simple Ohm's law, the resistance and current and voltage, actually this model, when we say that voltage equal to resistance times current, this is just an approximation. And if we want to take into account temperature, then the equation will be a little bit different. And if we want like to take for example, the physical structure of that resistance, that it is not homogeneous, so this can be also a different equation. If the current is alternating current, so we will have what is known as depth effect or skin effect, sorry. So then we will have different equation. And if there's a humidity, then it will be different equation. And if we would like every time to increase some like more accurate, and we would like to have more accurate model, of course we can do that, but there is also some limit. So there is some limit. After that, we have no choice to say that the model of the Ohm's law, it can be represented like, for example, the voltage equal to resistance times I plus delta, and this delta is the model or error. There is always some error, and of course, as I said, that this error can be reduced by increasing more information. Like if we model the resistance in terms of for example, temperature. So we have some, for example, if we include the temperature into account, if we take into account the resistance, the frequency, the humidity, then we can say that voltage in this case equal to R. But R now is not just fixed number. It can be function in frequency, function in temperature, function in humidity, function in whatever, times I. But still we have to use this delta, because we will never be able to model things with accuracy 100%. Even the resistance itself, it has plus minus delta, and this is also limited by our like limitation in accuracy measurements. Okay, so now the availability of massive data actually from multidisciplinary branches has been foundation for the new like services, and also introduce some new branches also in science, in technology. And actually they have many new applications, from biology to medicine, to energy plants, to astronomy, and so on, and even in social life. The artificial intelligence revolution based on data is also changing our industry, society, and everyday life. This is the reason that this course is extremely important. The term of artificial intelligence in a broad sense may include many related fields such as machine learning, big data, Yeah, so I should mention here that machine learning is a branch of artificial intelligence, as we will see later. Big data, data science, and decision making, and other areas as well. Um, we may say that machine learning based on massive data has given artificial intelligence this new and strong momentum. Yeah, because actually the concepts of artificial intelligence was around more than 50 or 60 years ago. But why now the artificial intelligence came again with strong like momentum? And the reason that the application of machine learning is, as we will describe later and also in the next topic, that how to extract information from data. And we have now huge data, based on huge data, raw data, so we can extract like different kind of information, and this information can be useful for the artificial intelligence to take decisions and to build models, statistical models, or some other kind of models like based on linear algebra and so on. Okay, learning is experience, everything else is just information. True. This is what Albert Einstein said. So everything like material objects or models can be represented or modeled, or for example, labeled as a series of numbers, symbols that carry corresponding information. So, for example, if you have picture, so this picture is consisting of pixels, and each pixel is numbers. Okay, so this number represent, for example, the strength of the or the light strength of this pixel, this point, in certain color. So in each point we will have 3 pixels, can represent three like colors, the three main colors. Then they represent that. For example, if you use 10 bits per color, so you can have like millions of different colors that can be generated. And then we can have our picture. So the picture as information, it consists of a lot of pixels. So the pixels are numbers. You can think about this almost everywhere. So social informatics. We're now talking about economic informatics, thermodynamics, information, biological informatics, quantum information, and so on. So almost in every branch that we can think about the information system there. So we can, based on the information, once you have information, then of course you solve all problems. For example, if we have full information about how to build like good medicine to fight cancer, for example, and why we don't have up till now that this cure for cancer, and there are a lot of like research institutes working for that, because of lack of information. They are still missing information. We have a lot of information about the cell itself, the dynamics of biological cells, and also the capabilities of like proteins, and so on. But still, even with this, like we can say that huge information, but still there are many things missing. So this is the period to build or to construct like the final cure of this disease. Once you have full information, then you achieve your objectives. Okay, we don't have actually the full information always, but we have what is known as data. Okay, before that, let us talk about information theory. Information, it was some kind of like abstract way of thinking. So when we talk about information, data, it was presented for many years, for decades, as in an abstract way. As far as I know, that the first person who presented the information as a math, as modeled as mathematically, he was Claude Shannon in 1948. So he built like full mathematical foundation to represent information. And he built his novel theories based on very simple but in the same time very deep concept. He said that the information content, as you can see, for certain event K is related to 1 divided by the probability of this event to happen. This idea is actually very intelligent and clever way to find the relation between information content and the probability of occurrence. For example, for those, what is the maximum probability? The maximum probability for any event is 1. What is the meaning of 1? 1 means that this is like sure that 100% it will happen. What is the information content of an event which is 100% will happen? Okay, for you, if you have been informed something like that you know that it happens for sure, that it was happen. So the information content is very small. So in this case, the information content is equal to the minimum. And here in this equation, this relation, the minimum, he put it as 1. Okay. And then what is the probability that if you have something to be impossible to happen? And the probability of impossible should be close to 0. And if this probability if this event which is close to 0 to happen has happened already, so 1 divided by a number close to 0, it gives you very large number where I can go to infinity. So the information content, he built this relation. The information content is related to the probability of event to happen or not happen. Okay, and of course he wanted to put it in the way that that the minimum of this to be like 0 instead of 1. Okay, and in this case he take the logarithm. He take the logarithm for this equation, and he has more than one reason to take the logarithm. First, to make it 0, and the minimum, the information content is 0 when the probability is 1, and in the same time he bought it. The logarithm gives you the condition that the multiplication of events, of series of events, that it will be the summation of their information. So he bought it in the form of log, but we are not going to these details in this symbol or this introductory presentation. So let us see what is the difference between data and information. So you can see here that if someone told you in the morning, wow, sun rises today from the east, so you say that it is boring, and because what is the information contained in this phrase? And if someone told you they discovered microlife on Mars, for example, then you said, what? It is big, like surprise. So there is information here. Okay, and but if they repeat it, so the next day you open the radio, you find they discovered microlife on Mars. So, okay, I know. Then after a couple of days you find someone, he told you they discovered microlife on Mars. Okay, enough. I mean, the repeating of information becomes data. So it is data, no information. The beginning is information, but when it is repeated, it becomes just data. So it is like data but doesn't have information. However, if it has been slightly changed, so it might carry some new information. For example, if they told you they discovered microlife in the form of bacteria on Mars. Oh, really interesting. So there's some extra information added to the previous one. So data is a general term. So any sequence of like pattern or symbols or numbers, they can be considered as data. So everything can be data, but this data doesn't necessarily have information, or don't necessarily have information. So it can be junk data, can be noise, can be anything, or the information might be buried in this data. So we need some algorithms to extract information from data. So information could be like defined as an ordered and correlated sequence which could be numbers or symbol or in symbolic language, describing a certain thing in a way that makes a likelihood prediction better than a random selection. So it means that we build like knowledge. So now we have knowledge. We build a knowledge based on the information. So now we start to convert this information into knowledge. So we know it. So we know, we can predict now, or we can guess in better way than just random selection. Okay. So information is the currency of life, as they mentioned by Chris Adamy. The second most important key is how to use available information effectively. So it is very important also. It is not enough that you have information, but also how to use this information. Okay. So information is usually built in data. So usually it is not, of course we have some kind of information that's available directly, but when we have data, data is raw. So it is raw material. And this raw material, it might contain a lot of information even you don't think about them before. However, data can be noisy, biased, truncated, distorted, incomplete, corrupted, so it can be anything data. But how to extract information, this is actually very interesting topic. And sometimes maybe actually we have two things that we in this topic. So sometimes we know what we are looking for, but we like to have its value. For example, if we have some here we have some system, okay, and we have some input to this system, and we have some response of the system Y. And in many times we like to, from Y, we have this Y measurement. So Y, or even Y here could be noisy. So there's noise here, and we have this Y. Y is the observation, is what we know, what we can measure, okay, what we can see. So based on this Y, we are in certain system, we are very interested to know what is X there. For example, if we have some trend in the market, so like for example, the market, stock market, okay, so this is what we observe here. This is what we can see in this data measurements. But we are interested to see what is the reason behind these fluctuations, or what was the reason. It can be, for example, vector of reasons, of course, can be hundreds of reasons, but why the price going down and when it is going up, and can we predict the future? Because if you can predict, of course, you can invest or draw your money or do whatever. So now we know what we are looking for. So we have Y, and we like to know what is X. Okay, so but X itself, we are looking for, sometimes we can be interested in certain X, but sometimes also there are some kind of information that there is also Z there, so it is missing. We didn't even think about this Z and the effect of Z. Okay, so we are looking for X and we ignore Z because we didn't think that there is another here. By the way, here when I mean X or Z, I mean vectors, of course. X here is vector of x1, x2 up to xn. Z can be also vector from z1 up to zl, for example. So now I am interested in X. We are looking for X to estimate what is X. But there might be another influence coming from different branch that we didn't even think about it, which is Z. Okay, so in machine learning, actually, they can predict such kind of input, even we didn't think about it before. Okay, so data is a plural of datum. Okay, and it can have many applications. So in health system, for example, data includes, for example, sickness types, patients attributes. Attributes of patients means that their age, their height, their race, their gender, their whatever, and medicine kinds, the spread of certain viruses in some geographical area, the RNA of COVID-19, if it is related to this health system. So you can think about any kind of data that can be useful for the health system. In business also, data might contain like good bots, share prices, sales rate with time, date, place, stock market trends, the impact of certain event on markets, and so on. We can talk about the climate or personal data about each person visiting places, social media, family, education, financial, like political trends of people, preferred food and drinks, email flow, and blah blah blah. So you can see that the all these things is data of on the personal level. War data from war, for example, data comes from war fields, what is going on, the energy, the stock of the energy, the impact of, for example, the war on energy. Like a lot of data can be like very very important in our life. However, we need always to think how to extract information from data. So, because I said data can be biased, data can be like designed in certain context to mislead people. Data can be false data. So the topic is a very big topic. It is very important for our life. However, of course, we have huge data already. We have huge data, and the reason for this huge data is the new technology. For example, for storage, or we can now store massive amount of data. It becomes very easy and inexpensive. For example, one inexpensive finger length flash memory can store as much as 2 terabytes of or more of data. Before less than 70 years, actually, it was we might need like a big house space to store tapes that cost millions of dollars in order to save such kind of information. So it was very very expensive before few decades. It was within our human age, when we talk about 60 or 70 years. So it is not, we are not talking about hundreds of years. So we are, but you can see that the technology, how fast it went. So 2 terabyte now you can put them in your pocket, but it can be it was very like almost very hard to be done based on personal capability. It was maybe on country or state capability. Okay, so data carry information, visible as well as hidden information. Data can be static or dynamic. So dynamic data means that it is affected by time or date, okay, and also the place and so on. Data could be described as biasing times information plus interference, okay, plus noise. So you can see the bias, why I multiplied the biasing times the information. Information can be fully or partially unknown. Sometimes we don't know anything about the information, or maybe we know some of the information. When it is multiplied by bias, because biasing it can like change completely the information. It is not only corrupted the information or only make it like more confused, or maybe increase some redundancy or some like uncertainty about information, but biasing can change it upside down. For example, something happened and bias it says that it didn't happen, so they change it. So if the information is, if we talk about information, and this information is a +1 if certain event happened, -1 if certain thing didn't happen. Okay, so if it is interference or noise, you can add something here, so you can still think about maybe instead of +1 it becomes like zero point 0.5 or zero point 0.3, so it becomes like some kind of uncertainty. Okay, but with Bising, that Bising can be, if you multiply -1 by information here, if we represent this information by +1 or -1, and you multiply with -1, then it will flip the truth. So it tries to make the truth that it is false and so on. So something happened, it can be received as didn't happen. Okay, but in reality it happened. So this price is multiplied by information. Then we have the interference. The interference actually might have information, but we are not interested in it. So it can be seen as interference or noise and disturbance, which can be junk data. So noise and disturbance. So for noise, for example, we express by noise is the unintentional way to change the data. So it is unintentional, so it was or unintentional, so it was not done intentionally to change data. Disturbance, just to make things like fuzzy. Okay, to make things fuzzy, so you don't know what to do. Or biasing usually is done in intention, so someone wants to change or to treat the information to like to give different picture about the truth. Data and information. So here we, of course, we are always interested in the information part, and we like to have the information as it is. Okay. But as I said, that since the information is at least partially unknown and can be dynamic, and it is usually hidden in junk data and noise and can be biased, so this is actually the motivation of machine learning. The machine learning task is how to extract information from data. Okay, so as I said, that you can think about data as a mountain with raw material, and information is gold inside this mountain, and then we start what is known as data mining. So in data mining, we try to mine that mountain in order to extract what is useful for us. We are also talking about data modeling or data-driven modeling. In data-driven modeling, as we know that I can explain it simply like that. Usually we build models based on physical equations, so or physical theorems. So we can, for example, using partial differential equation, we can estimate if it will rain tomorrow or not, using this partial differential equation, using also some data came from satellites and so on. So we can build collect a lot of information, and then we have equations. Actually, we have some equations where we need sometimes like a very powerful computer to compute the temperature distribution, and then based on the temperature distribution, we can compute or estimate the wind pattern. And from the satellite pictures about clouds in some area, then we can also see how the clouds movement based on this data and so on. So all these things are based on that mathematical models. Actually, it is based on mathematical models. However, if we start to think in different way, so we have data. For example, the temperature today. Maybe we have the date of the day, for example, in year, or for example in which month, or at what day exactly, and then we start to build. We collect information. This information that based on several years, that when these conditions happen, then usually tomorrow is raining. After that, it will not rain. Then we have, like, for example, storm. We don't have storm, but we don't build any mathematical equation. So we just bring all this data that we have, that we are collected over many years, and then put it in the computer, and then we start with this machine learning, and with this machine learning we try to build a model about what is going on without having the mathematical model based on the physical behavior of, for example, temperature distribution and so on. Or it is called like heat equation and so on. So we just built the model based on information, or based on data more precisely. So we have data, then we build information. I can give another example that about if we want to differentiate between apple and orange, for example. So for humans it's easy to differentiate, but about computer, of course, we can give like some equations that about the color, about the weight, about the shape, what kind of equation of the shape, and so on. Then when we put it in the front of the camera of the computer, then the computer will start to extract this information about the shape, weight, and so on. Then they can estimate, is it apple or orange. But there's another way, that I just show hundreds of pictures of the apple, and I tell the computer, the machine learning, this is apple, this is orange, this is apple, this is orange. And then I leave the computer or the machine learning itself to extract this information. I don't put any equations inside. So I just put equations for the machine learning, which are general equations that can be applied to differentiate between apple and orange. It can be used the same equations to differentiate between dogs and cats. It can be, and so on. So, but here it is data driven. So the based on data, the machine learning will try to build their own like rules or their own model how to deal with them. For example, if you want to compute the resistance, the relation, okay, this is for, because I guess that most of you that from electrical engineering, so about the resistance and the current I, and then we have the voltage V across this resistor, and then we have R, and we have some information about temperature and about the frequency and so on. Of course, now you can build the computer. You can have the equation having this skin depth. You have the impact of the temperature on the resistor. You have the voltage and the current, and then you put all this data to the computer. You put I mean the equation of this to the computer, and then you give any numbers of those, and then you can estimate what is the missing based on the equation that we built it based on some physical theorems. Okay, and this is not data-driven system. This is based on equation. But there is another way, that I put all this data that we have, that I made real measurement, okay, about voltage, current, and the resistance, and what was the temperature, what was the frequency, what was the humidity, and so on. And then in this case, I have, let's say, hundreds of measurements, and I let the machine learning in order to build its own model. It will build its own model, and based on that, when we have a new data that it comes, then the machine learning can tell you what is the voltage, what is the R, what is I, what is T, what is the missing value. It can estimate it based on the model without giving the equation itself. Of course, this is quite trivial, and we are not actually, machine learning was not built to find such kind of to solve such kind of problems, because as far as you can build accurate equation, if you have certain behavior that you can see, physical behavior, and then you can build equation. It can be differential equation or deterministic, just static equation, or but anyhow, you have equation which can be like, let's say, 99.99% accurate. Then there is no reason to go to the data driven and to collect data and to try to solve it with machine learning. So this is you can do that, of course, but it was not designed, or the main purpose is not to solve such kind of problems. However, we have a lot of problems where it is almost impossible to build accurate model for it. Okay, when we have a lot of things coming together to affect certain system. So or it can be like too many things applied. I give you example now. If we think about maintenance system, so just think about maybe big company manufacturing like diesel engine or maybe motors or whatever, and then of course there is some maintenance schedule for that. Okay, and we collect a lot of data. However, there are many times where there is sudden failure happen to, for example, for big diesel engine. So just think about big diesel engine that it is used to generate to drive a motor or a generator. Sorry, to drive a generator that you generate, let's say, 2 megawatt or 4 megawatt, and suddenly this diesel engine stop working. Okay, of course now we need to find the fault location and to try to maintain and to bring it up to work again, and this might sometimes it takes many days or weeks. And of course you can think about the cost of that random failure of that engine, and this happens every day. Okay, now we are collecting data all the time from such engines, and we have data, and we have the last data before the fault happened. And after that, we have also find what was the fault. And just remember, or just think that in these many engines around the world, there is always record for this. So we have like recording maybe for thousands of faults happens, and also we have records for a huge number of data sensors that we had about those engines before they fall into some kind of faults. Okay, now this data actually, when you have them, how could we build a model of this data that we can predict the fault before it happened? It is not that easy task. But for the machine learning, because we cannot build equation, that okay, when you have this data, then this engine is going to fall to drop into some kind of like fault. So this is not that easy to build. Of course, it can be done for certain. Maybe we have high vibration, for example, and then we can expect that. But even before we come to the high vibration, there should be some like very slight signs for that, which cannot be like observed directly by from the monitoring of this operation. Then what we can do? Simply, this machine learning, we can learn the machine learning about all this data, and we tell them that when this is the data and this is the kind of faults, then our machine learning, if it learned the situation, then they can predict the fault before it happens long time. So they can say that this machine should be maintained next month, for example. And this of course gives time. This is called predicted maintenance. So predicted maintenance is one kind of data-driven modeling or data-driven system. So we build predicted maintenance based on data, the previous data that we have. We have here at university, we have several master thesis was given for this kind of applications for big companies here in the city of Vaasa. Digitization and digitalization. So let us stop here, and this will be the topic of the next part of this lecture. Thank you very much.